على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم هو الحبيب الذي ترجى شفاعته لكل هول من الأهوال مقتحم آپ جو حسن کی جاگیر لیے بیٹھے ہیں ہم بھی آنکھ میں آپ کی تصویر لیے بیٹھ اور اے چاند کو توڑ کے جوڑنے والے آ جا ہم بھی ٹوٹی ہوئی تقدیر لیے بیٹھے ہیں اور لوگ آئے ہیں محشر میں نامہ اعمال لیے تیرے عاشق تیری تصویر لیے بیٹھے ہیں حال دل کس کو سنائیں حال دل کس کو سنائیں آپ کے ہوتے ہوئے حال دل کس کو سنائیں آپ کے ہوتے ہوئے حال دل کس کو سنائیں آپ کے ہوتے ہوئے زخم دل کس کو دکھائیں آپ کے ہوتے ہوئے زخم دل کس کو دکھائیں آپ کے ہوتے ہوئے اور اپنا جینا اپنا مرنا اب اسی چوکھٹ پہ ہے ہم کہاں سرکار جائیں آپ کے ہوتے ہوئے ہم کہاں سرکار جائیں آپ کے ہوتے ہوئے میں غلام مصطفیٰ ہوں یہ میری پہچان ہے میں غلام مصطفیٰ ہوں یہ میری پہچان ہے हम कहाँ सरकार जाएं आपके होते हुए। और कौन है अल्ताफ अपना हाले दिल जिसे कहें। ज़ख्म दिल किसको दिखाएं आपके होते हुए। ज़ख्म दिल किसको दिखाएं आपके होते हुए। जज़ाकुमुल्लाह खैर।
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Anbiya'i wal Mursaleen wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'du, fa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Inna deena inda Allahi al-Islam, sadaqallahu al-azim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Mawlana Muhammadin nabil ummi wa ala alihi wa sallam tasliman kathira. We praise Allah Azza wa Jal, the Exalted, and may His unlimited peace, blessings and salutations be upon His beloved Messenger, upon the Ahlul Bayt, upon his companions, all of his companions, and upon all the awliya and salihin, especially our Mashayikh Sayyidina Abdul Aziz Dabbar rahmullah, and upon Sayyidina Abdul Qadir al-Jilani rahmullah, and upon our beloved Master. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevate their secrets, elevate their rank, elevate the status, and bestow us and keep on enabling us to benefit us from their guidance and from their company. When Jannat was created and Jahannam was created, Sayyidina Jibreel Islam was presented and shown that there were doors, or you could say gates, walls which were surrounding hellfire. And it was said that these gates and you could say walls, I'm just paraphrasing my way for you can understand. The walls of hellfire, or you could say access to the hellfire, was surrounded by walls of enjoyment, of pleasure, of heedlessness, ease, comfort. And when Jibreel Islam saw this, he thought to himself, I cannot see anyone that will not be saved from the hellfire. Because it's surrounded, its walls and its vicinity, these are ease, comfort, luxury. And then when he saw Jannah, its doors, its walls has been surrounded with hardship and difficulties, calamities, musibah, trials and tribulations. And Jibreel Islam thought to himself, I cannot see how anybody can enter paradise. Who is saying this? The chief, the leader of all the angels. And angels are masoom, they're pure. And he, alayhi salam, is actually saying that he cannot see anyone enter paradise, and he can only see people going to hellfire. he was bereft, bewildered, thinking, what? How can people, Ya Rabbal Alameen is saying to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, how will people be able to now enter paradise and save themselves from the hellfire? Rest assured, what was he told? Oh Jibreel, do not worry. All the people have to do, all they have to do is follow the footsteps of my beloved, and they will enter paradise and they're safeguarded from the hellfire. That's all they have to do. The role of prophethood and prophetship and prophethood messengership is to guide people towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His pleasure. Is to guide them. Effectively, He is the role model for all of people to know how to follow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because it does not befit Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to eat, to drink, to sleep. It's beyond all of that. He doesn't do any of this. So how can we possibly follow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How can we possibly be obedient to His command and to say that we're mimicking and following Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? He raises prophets and messengers amongst the people so they can follow. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the model for all of us. He is the model in the stages of this dunya. In order for us to enter paradise and save ourselves from hellfire, He is the guide, He is the model. But who is the model to follow Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Who is the model for that? How do we follow Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Yes, we have to follow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have the messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But the model to follow Prophet sallallahu, because there are certain things that does not befit the messengers, that does not befit Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. For example, the prophets, all prophets are masoom. They're sinless. They do not commit any sin. Even before the announcement of prophethood, and even obviously now, of course, without a shadow of doubt after prophethood, the announcement of prophethood, they are masoom, sinless. So it doesn't befit the prophets. So for us to know and see how to follow the prophets and messengers, especially the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the model for me and you are the Sahaba. The Sahaba are our models to know how to follow the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because he sallallahu alaihi wasallam never sinned, but the Sahaba showed us how to do tawbah. They committed errors. They committed say for me and you, because they were like Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to the effect, as Sahabi, Nujum, my companions are like stars. Whichever one of them you follow, you'll be guided. A star, what does a star do? It guides, it sheds light, it tells you direction you're supposed to go, you're supposed to follow. That is what stars do. And this is why these were the stars of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Sahaba. So whichever companions that we follow, you'll be guided. How he sallallahu alaihi wasallam ate, how he dressed, how he actually married, how he actually did funerals, how he did all these things. If we follow the companions, we will surely be guided. By being guided, we'll be surely follow Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and thus we'll be following Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and hence why Jannat will lie in our footsteps, inshallah, bi'iznillah. Simple formula, isn't it? Very simple. For example, if we were to say, okay, you were to start a job, you're a trainee, all you got to do is follow the instruction of the supervisor, you'll be successful at your job. Simple, isn't it? Then why do we complicate it? Why are we complicating things? What we do is that we add our own things, our own ways, our own ideas, our own intellects, our own attitudes, our own values. We think we know better. We think we are right. We think we know the way. So now, for me and you, Sahaba were the model for us to follow the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We cannot see them now, physically, with these eyes, can we? Are we deprived? Are we bereft? Are we all gumrah? No. What do we have? We have awliya Allah, friends of Allah, the beloved friends of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who are models for us to know how to follow the Sahaba, who will then teach us how to follow and love the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. No wali can reach the status of a Sahabi. No matter no ghaus or kutub, whatever, they cannot reach the status. So such high level status that a Sahabi have, because me and you, for example, for us to understand the status of Sahaba, radhiyallahu ajma'in. Imagine the Sahaba. What do we say Sahaba is? That person who saw and brought faith upon deen by seeing the Prophet ﷺ with the physical eyes. That is a Sahabi. His iman has been nourished, whether it's one glance, and they saw the Prophet ﷺ, he died upon Islam, Iman faith. He is a Sahabi. He died on that faith. He is a Sahabi. Me and you are failing to equate the value of that one glance. We are failing to actually equate the value of that one glance, that one seeing of the Prophet ﷺ. Because such effect that one glance had, even is with all Sahabi are great, but different Sahabi have different ranks as well. Like you got Ashara Mubashara, you got the Ahlul Bayt, and you got Khulafai Rashideen, and so on and so on. And then you got normally Am Sahabi, but they're all high, they're all lofty, they're all in their own ranks. It's not fitting for our words to utter these things that who is a big Sahabi, who is a small Sahabi. They're all wonderful and great. But amongst them, there are gradations, there are levels amongst them. There are levels. But let's just say the most simplest one, simple person who is just a field worker, or maybe a person who is just a khadim, or a person who is just in the house or a slave of a person, not the slave of a person, just slave of a person, but they bought iman, they bought faith upon themselves. Even if you were to worship, ibadat and worship, years after years, months after months, if you, for example, me and you, like the previous ummahs, they used to live thousands of years, some of them. Some lived hundreds of years. Some lived, and so on. They had a long life, long status, long life they had. So they were able to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even more. So to compensate that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us Laylatul Qadr, which is equivalent to better than 80 or so years. Okay, 80 or so years. So in one night, we can worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by the status that one night we are able to achieve the ibadat and worship of 80 years. Now let me just tell you, that's one night because of what you're worshipping. You can pray namaz, for example, we just offered Isha now. This is the Isha we've offered, you prayed, you offered Salat al-Isha. But if this is the night of Qadr, that Salat al-Isha is as if you worshipped in 80 years of your life. The reward of it. Salat al-Isha. If it was Laylatul Qadr. Now imagine that's by what? The nisbah of one night, which is called Laylatul Qadr. Are you all with me so far? Everybody is with me? That's the nisbah because of Laylatul Qadr, you're worshipping, you're praying. Because of Laylatul Qadr, you get the reward of 80 years of ibadah. That's the night. What to say about the Prophet ﷺ and his power. So those companions who glanced at the Prophet ﷺ, their status of iman, even if you were to worship Laylatul Qadr every single day, you can get nowhere near to their level of iman and their status. You cannot even fathom to think how great the Sahabi are. We cannot imagine. That's why he, even in his life, he said, leave my Sahaba to me. Don't talk ill about them. They are my companions. Don't talk ill about them. That is the level of status of Sahabi, that no matter what we do, we can never reach their status whatsoever, not even iota, because of the fact of the iman that they possessed. So here we're saying is that for us, we still have a wali of Allah, friend of Allah, to see how we can actually abide by and follow the Prophet ﷺ, i.e. follow the companions, and how to love the Prophet and follow the Prophet ﷺ. We have this. Such is that one personality that any Sahabi that you actually look into, you can actually get guidance from. But one thing that we can conclude that every single Sahabi, some of the teaching that we can get from the Sahabi is that one thing we can conclude is from one person that I'd like to mention today, and his blessed personality, the name of this wonderful companion is Sayyidina Zubair bin Awam radhiyallahu an, who was the cousin of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was from his auntie's side, his father's sister. Sayyidina Abdullah radhiyallahu an, it was better before. It was from his father's sister, beloved father's sister. From them, they were the cousin. And Sayyidina Zubair radhiyallahu an bin Awam, he was the fifth person to embrace Islam. The fifth person to embrace Islam. And he was such a companion that he was with Prophet ﷺ through more or less all the ghazwas that they participated in. He was also the companion who was told to go to Abyssinia and to migrate to Abyssinia and go and be with the King Najashi and be with them and propagate Islam there, and then come back and give the news. They came back. He participated in Badr. He participated in Uhud, where there was very little companions. He was one of those companions who even protected the Prophet ﷺ from the spears and the shields, from the arrows and spears and swords, where there was hardly anybody to protect them when all the other companions actually left. He was one of those blessed companions who shielded the Prophet ﷺ. He was also in Khaybar. He was also in a Khandaq. He grew and he actually became old. He lived through the departure of Prophet ﷺ. Not only that, he also served in the time of Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radhiyallahu anhu. He also grew from his Khalifa when Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radhiyallahu anhu passed away from this face of this earth. He also was under Sayyidina Umar radhiyallahu anhu. Then Sayyidina Uthman radhiyallahu anhu. And it is there when Sayyidina Uthman radhiyallahu anhu was actually shaheed. There were not many Muslims in Medina Sharif because there was the time of Hajj season, so most of the Muslims were in Makkah. He was also in Makkah, so Mukarramah. When he heard what had happened to Sayyidina Uthman radhiyallahu anhu, he was very much grieved. Why? Because he was there from the beginning. From the beginning of Islam, when he was one of the first five who embraced Islam, he was there from the beginning. And he saw Sayyidina Uthman and such a personality, such a soft and gentle person, that how could such vultures do such a crime to Sayyidina Uthman? He could not bear it. He could not bear it. He could not tolerate it. So he immediately, now he's come to the Khalifaship of Sayyidina Ali, he immediately said, we need to avenge his death. We need to take revenge. Whichever criminals did this, we will avenge him. So what happened is that Sayyidina Ali tried to convince these companions who were adamant. Why? We'll learn and understand why in a bit. I mean that the pressure that Sayyidina Ali was actually, what his mindset was, is that Sayyidina Ali said, listen, this is not the time for us to take the revenge. We will take it, but this is not the time. Everybody is in turmoil at the moment. Let's just relax and calm down and think with a thorough head, and then when the time is right, we will adhere, we'll take our revenge back. They were adamant. So what happened? He gathered about 20 to 30,000 soldiers with him to go, as you heard, the famous battle of camels. Under the instruction of Aisha Siddiqa radhiyallahu anha, who was very profoundly upset, and she said, we need to avenge the martyrdom of Sayyidina Uthman radhiyallahu anhu. We need to avenge, and we need to make sure that those people who did this, because why? They weren't, you see, the companions, they were not evil-hearted or suspicious-minded like me and you. They were still khair, good, they wanted good. Why? They said, one is that this is our brother, but also he's been martyred, so that it gives a message that nobody should ever dare to do anything to such a Sahabi like Sayyidina Uthman radhiyallahu anhu. If we let these people go, now, if we let them go, then it sends a message that they can do this to any other Khalifa. They could do this, but especially with such great companions such as Sayyidina Uthman radhiyallahu anhu, how could they possibly do this to him? So say they, under the instructions of the Aisha Siddiqa radhiyallahu anha, they went to the Battle of Camel in Basra. That's where it was. It is there. This is where you learn the teaching of these are the students of whom? The Prophet ﷺ. This is where we learn how we should conduct and behave with one another. How we learn when there is differences, when what we should do not do. Now look, in the state of, you could say, war now, about to happen. He has brought 20 to 30 soldiers, 30,000 soldiers to fight and get revenge. And you got the army of Sayyidina Ali saying, stop, don't do this. He was the Khalifa. Stop, don't do this. What happened? This is how you know that every single companion, whatever they did it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not for any whims and thought, not for any party, not for my nafs, not for any gang, or not for any other friend, or not for any of this, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It was easy for them. When you do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and when truth is presented, it's very easy for you now to actually leave it. Very easy. So they were sincere. What happens? They gather. They come. Again now, Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anh is trying to now, last opportunity before anything happens, he's saying, Oh Zubair, do you remember what the Prophet ﷺ said? Oh Zubair, do you know what? These are lovers of the Prophet ﷺ. Now the Prophets are not here. For example, whenever we mention a hadith, it's just a hadith, it's this thing. They would eagerly listen because it's the call of the Prophet ﷺ, their beloved. They would eagerly listen with attentiveness. What did they? So Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anh reminded Sayyidina Zubair, Oh Zubair, remember what the Prophet ﷺ said to me and you? What was it? When you'll have a disagreement, a difference of opinion with Ali and he'll be on truth, what will you do, Zubair? As soon as Sayyidina Zubair heard this, it was like an earth-shattering moment. He dropped everything. Like a lightning bolt struck him, he dropped everything. As if he became completely blinded. Couldn't hear anything. Couldn't see anything. As if his horse's legs had actually fallen and he couldn't even sit on his horse. Armor coming off. His sword just came off. Everything just completely shattered. He was bewildered. Why? Because he heard the truth. Because Prophet already foretold him that Ali will be on truth. What will you do? In other words, is that he is on truth now. This is the thing that Prophet said. So on the account of one hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, on the account of one call of the Prophet ﷺ, which he heard from Sayyidina Ali, he left all those 20 to 30,000 soldiers and walked off. Shame and regret and remorse came over him that he thought, what have I done? What was I thinking? He could not think straight. That what have I done? What was I thinking? He wasn't hearing anything. Sayyidina Ali is trying to call him, Oh Zubair, come here, come, where are you going? Come here. He wasn't hearing. He started to walk off on his own. It's like as if completely bereft, lost all senses. He's walked off. As he walked off, he found a masjid, went, and then it's as if so much sorrow had overwhelmed him, he went into prostration. Unfortunately for him, or fortunately for him, he became a shaheed. But fortunately for him is that one of these khabith persons who was part of the gang that actually assassinated, or you could say brutally assassinated Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anh, he also followed Sayyidina Zubair, and he went. As Sayyidina Zubair radiallahu anh was in prostration, he then took a sling of his sword and cut him. Now Sayyidina Zubair radiallahu anh was in such remorse, such regret, so much in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he wasn't even aware something has happened to him until he saw the blood is dripping from his head. He's seen the blood is dripping from his head, and the thought came not, oh my gosh, what has happened to me? The thought came, oh my goodness me, what has happened? I can see the blood. My wudu has now finished. I have to break my prayer. I have to re-offer. That is the reason why he started to get up, and as he got up, finished. His soul departed. But the lesson for me and you from this blessed personality is that, look, me and you, we may have arguments. We'll have differences of opinion. But irrespective of whatever happens, if somebody utters a statement of truth, the way me and you should feel is like, look at Sayyidina Zubair, is that he's spoken the truth. You put truth and admitting to truth first, and leave your opinions and your decisions aside. Surrender it. He has spoken the truth. He has spoken the haqq. He is on haqq. He is on truth. If that's the case, doesn't matter what party I belong to, doesn't matter which firqa I'm from, doesn't matter what thing I'm from. He has spoken the truth. I leave it aside. The other thing that we can learn from the blessed companion Sayyidina Zubair al-An from this moment is that sometimes you find is that person, because what happens is that we are nafsanic people and we have such shaitanic akhlaq sometimes. What happens is that even though despite knowing the person has spoken the truth, imagine just through one hadith, he didn't think, oh my gosh, what is this 20,000, 30,000 people going to think? Did he think this? Whenever me and you, what happens is that we're in front of a crowd. Let's say it's a wedding. It's not even happened yet. Let's say it's a wedding. And through now one hadith is, for example, is saying, don't free mix. Don't free mix in your wedding. Don't do this. Keep it segregated. Then if we are thinking, what are the people going to think? What will they say? How will they be? Look at Sayyidina Zubair. You are not going to get 20,000 people for your wedding. Illa mashallah, I don't know. Maybe you have a very big bank balance. Maybe you can do. But we're never going to get that. We'll be lucky if we get 100, 200 people or 300 people. But Sayyidina Zubair had how many? 20 to 30,000 soldiers waiting, ready to command and execute his command. He didn't even think about them because of hearing one hadith. One statement of the Prophet ﷺ, he was willing to sacrifice anything because he thought this is far greater. The call of my beloved Prophet ﷺ is far greater. His hukam is far greater than anything else. I'm willing to sacrifice. So when our shadi comes and our offer comes, etc., and what happens? They say, oh, you're going to have mixed. Or you're going to have music. What will the people think if we don't have music? What will they say? Oh, you're going to have to dress like this and behave like that. It's customary. Oh, what will the people think? What will they say? Be like the Sahabi, the true lovers of the Prophet ﷺ. Look what they exemplified. They weren't worried about, let alone a few hundred people, thousands of people, let alone this. In fact, the lesson that we can learn from his blessed shahadat is that what we can see is that these companions is that even if worlds was presented to them, worlds, this world, other worlds, everything was presented to them. But if it meant to go away from the command of Allah and His Messenger ﷺ, they were willing to shun those worlds. They were willing to shun position and power, because for them, value of Allah and His Messenger ﷺ is far greater in their eyes. What is status? What is honor? They found sharfat and honor in the Prophet ﷺ. That's what they had. They had sharfat and honor. So what happens is that we are worried what people think. Sayyidina Zubair is saying, oh my brothers, look at me. I am not worried. What happens? When somebody utters the truth, you had a disagreement, that person is uttered truth, we think, oh gosh, we will say, outwardly what we'll say, okay. Inwardly, you're burning, saying, how can he, what can we, and we're thinking, how can we get that person back? We're thinking, how can we devise a plot to make sure that he is wrong, he is false? How can we actually avenge this mistake? It's still burning inside. The animosity is still brewing inside. The storm of hatred and animosity is still burning inside because it feels as though that we've been showed up. What happens when the call of truth and statement of truth came? He dropped everything. His armor, his shield, his everything. His sword slipped out of his hand. So when you are in that position, disagreement with one another, when we are in this position, and you find that the other person is correct, is right, is on haq, drop the sword of anger from your hands. Drop it, let it melt away. Don't have that sword of anger, and don't let the fire of rage inside burn. Melt it away. Rather, what did he do? Accept it. Use the coolness of acceptance that that person is correct and I am wrong. Imam Shafi'i radhiyallahu anh, Muhammad bin Idris al-Shafi'i radhiyallahu anh, one of the great imams of fiqh, look at their mentality, look at their mindset. Look at this. We think, if we find a Shawafi here, we'll say, oh brother, you're wrong. You're wrong. Why are you doing Rafa' then? Why are you doing this and why you do that? No. Look at the Imam Shafi'i, what he said is that if there was if there was any disagreement between myself and somebody else in fiqh, my brother in fiqh, if there was a disagreement, if we had a different opinion, and it meant that we had to present argument, in my heart and in my mind, what I would think is that I would think that I hope the truth manifests from my brother here. I pray and I hope that Allah SWT uses his tongue and this brother here, that he is on haq and his truth manifests here. Because sometimes he had to be compelled to prove, and because of a matter of fiqh, he had to prove it. But his heart was never to look down that person and make that person go down and show him how good and how thing he is. No, his mentality is opposite to what me and you would have. We sometimes are so eager, yeah, I'm right, I'm going to crush him with my argument. I'm going to finish him with my statement. I'm going to make sure that person never even walks again. That's how we want to do. We want to make sure he's completely crippled, that's it, and he never walks again. But look at the mentality of Imam Shafi'i radhiyallahu anh, that he hopes that truth actually comes from that person and his statement is actually incorrect. This is a matter of fact. Obviously, there are certain things that they were shiddat and they were very, very adamant, but it's not about when you're in terms of disagreement with one another. We go towards animosity and hatred and belittling. Whereas if you look at these honorable personalities, they had so much love and wantonness for each other. That's why similarly, what I'm just dissecting here, is that we are told that we should have good opinion, we should do good towards fellow Muslim brothers. Those especially who are close to us, our relatives and our friends, we have to do good as well. But the awliya Allah, they don't just do this to just Muslims who are good to them. Even the enemies, they actually want to benefit them. Even the enemies. Why? A great personality, you might have heard Hazrat Sayyidina Muhyiddin ibn Arabi rahimahullah, a great personality whose mazar is actually in Syria and Damascus, Hayrukunuddin in that area. Their mazar is buried there. It was this blessed personality where people, many times, as brothers here, you'll hear, oh, people are there, like some students were saying yesterday, we were discussing, oh, you think that ulamas, they will easily accept great wali of Allah? They will easily accept it? If you look at history and time tells you is that it's the ulamas who are the first one who caused this disruption really. It's the ulamas who caused this. This is not the ulamas, the good ulamas, the rabbain, the ulama I'm talking about here, is that these ulamas are first the ones do itraz. Masalan, for example, in the life of, if you look and study the life of Sayyidina Abdul Qadir Jilani rahmullah, you'll see it's the ulamas who do itraz upon whom? Sayyidina Ghaus Pak, Abdul Qadir Jilani rahmullah. Oh, how can you do this? How is this? How is that? They wouldn't give him an iota even enter his opinions or even in his thought. They wouldn't even sit with him. Imagine who this Sayyidina Ghaus Pak, Sayyidina Abdul Qadir Jilani. They wouldn't sit with him. They think, oh, he doesn't know. He's only a man. What does he know? We are great people. Then eventually, slowly, they realized this person has such effect, profound effect on people. Then they started to actually accept. Then they started to adhere to what he says. When they're realizing really they have nothing, and Sayyidina Qadir Jilani has everything. Such marifah he possessed. Not only was he a scholar, but a great wali of Allah, great marifah, one of Ghaus Azam they know him as. If you look at the likes of Sayyidina Abdul Aziz Dabarahullah, our beloved grand teacher, Grandmaster Sayyidina Abdul Aziz Dabarahullah, again, through Al-Ibris Sayyidina Ahmad Mubarak Rahimullah, we find out what? That he also had itiraz upon him. You hear he had a handful of students. Why? Because the ulamas were saying, don't go to him, he'll make you change, he'll do this to you, he'll do that to you. Stay away from, oh, he's a heretic, oh, he's this, oh, he's that, oh, don't go there. That is what they used to do. So it's a common theme that you see that ulamas, usually when they don't know something, or they don't actually interact, this is ulama al-batil, the ulama su I'm talking about, not ulama rabbain, not the na'im rabbain, the good, the righteous scholars, they'll never do this really. They'll do what Ahmad Mubarak is doing. What? Find out. Some of his teachers was so against Sayyidina Abdul Aziz Dabar rahmallah. May Allah bless and honor and raise his status. This is his month in which he was actually. Inshallah, next week I hope you all, and you should call others as well. Hopefully, inshallah, we're going to do a special gathering to commemorate the birth of the great Sayyid Sayyidina Abdul Aziz al-Dabbagh rahimahullah al-Fasi. He al-Maghribi, that he will be remembered next week, inshallah. Then we're also going to have, inshallah, a special commemoration of him for next week. So make sure you tell other brothers and sisters to participate next week in Bolton Zawiya next week to commemorate him. But to talk, just to say about Sayyidina Ahmad Mubarak rahimahullah, what he said was when his teachers, his scholarly teachers, the teachers of Aqidah and Fiqh and Hadith and so on, they're saying, why do you go to him? What's the point you go to him? He's this, he's this, he's this. So he argued back in a ihtaram and loving way because they're still his teachers. He said is that, Sayyidi, my teacher, my masters, is that if somebody comes to you for a mas'ala, for a ruling, if somebody comes to you for a ruling and you don't know the answer, what do you do? He said, obviously, if we don't know, then we go to the books, we do ruju upon the books, and we try to find the answer there. Look at it, study it, and then try to find the answer, and then give the reply. That is this. So he then said, oh my teachers, is that have you any of you gone and met Sayyidina Abdul Aziz Dabarahullah? No, we haven't met him. No, we haven't. No, why? Then he's still alive. Then how can you have this sort of opinion? How can you be saying this about him? If for a mas'ala and you don't know the answer and you're fearful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for a mas'ala, for a ruling, you're fearful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you say you're not going to give a reply without knowing, then how can you say something about the friend of Allah who is not only actually taking a person away from clearing doubt away from one answer, but to the path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who's going to remove doubt and confusion and obstacles for him to achieve the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How can you possibly give a ruling without having to investigate it and knowing him and ask him, was it alive? Without knowing anything about him, how can you possibly have this opinion? How can you possibly give this ruling? How can you possibly give this fatwa about him without having meeting him, or seeing him, or speaking to him? This is something which is common. You'll find this great wali of Allah had. The great awliya, friends of Allah, they had this itiraz. And it's really jealousy. It's nothing else but jealousy which is actually doing this to them. Unfortunately, knowledge is such a thing that can actually, it's a sword that can actually cut you from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or tie you with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what it can do. It's a very dangerous and precious thing. It's a precious thing, but it can also be a dangerous thing. That can blind you, but you can also, it should really be opening your eyes, but it can also have the opposite of blinding you as well, that you don't realize, making you automatic. Anyhow, so this wonderful companion, He's demonstrated to us is that when you have a disagreement, if somebody utters the truth, forget your opinions, forget who you belong to, forget what you're thinking, accept the truth. Instead of raging and instead of harboring ill thoughts and ill feelings, rid and melt that and think good of your brother. Other thing that we see is that when you do come, when you are actually seeing that, how can you make this easy? If sometimes brothers say, but how do you forgive? How do you accept it? This person has done so much vile, such bad things. But unfortunately, at that moment, he did speak the truth. You may have differences of opinion, and you may not even see eye to eye. But how do you make it easier then to accept that when he is on the truth, that you accept that he's on the truth? Or when he has done something right, you accept that he's done something right, and not still have that grudge overriding that and tainting that. From the lesson from this blessed Shahadat and this teaching of Sayyidina Zubair bin Awam radhiyallahu anhu, is that what we can see is that if you have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger at the forefront, Allah pleasure and the Rasul's pleasure at the forefront, and your intention is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then it's easy. You've got no baggage to follow. There's nothing else. Because for you, your goal is pleasure Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the pleasure of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If that is that, and that's always at the forefront of your mind, that's always in your sight, in your vision, is always there. Whenever you interact, whenever you deal, when you actually behave with someone, conduct with someone, whatever you're doing, is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His Messenger, is at the forefront of everything that you're doing, then people, society, friends, brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, whoever they are, whatever they are, it's very easy to forgive and it's very easy to accept. What did I just say? One is that to forgive them and accept the forgiveness, but it's also very easy also to accept you are wrong and give the apology straight away. Be an apologetic person. Again, we'll come back to the teaching and say that Abdul Barahullah. This is actually from a dars that Hazrat did a year ago, this time last year. If you look at YouTube, I'm just summarizing the wonderful teaching that they uttered from the blessed mouth and that blessed tongues. Is that another wonderful thing is that Sayyidina Abdul Barahullah in that speech, in that nasihat, they actually gave a teaching of how to do tawbah. And one of the things they said is that be of a person, be and have apologies ready in your hand and be quick to give apologies. Sometimes we have spears and daggers ready, so we get this right. You come here and you say something to me, watch this, and you throw that dagger, you throw that spear, and you go, yeah, that really hit him hard. Yeah, that's good. Because that's how we feel sometimes. Because we have such attitudes regarding one another. But they said, Sayyidina Abdul Barahullah first said is that be ready and have ready in your hand, instead of spears of hatred and animosity, have flowers of apologies. Have that ready and give and shower the people the apologies. And likewise be a person, this great Ummi saint, they said, Rahimullah, they said is that likewise be a person who readily accepts apologies of others and forgives. Such a wonderful teaching that if we really were, I know it's easy for me to say this, but it's myself I'm talking about. I pray that it makes it easier for us all to actually do this, that to readily give apologies and readily accept apologies. To readily give and readily accept the apologies is such a quality, such a trait that if you did this, there'll be salamat and peace all over the world. Peace all over the world, because you've wronged, yes, I accept and I forgive. Please accept my apologies, I am sorry. Very easy to say, I'm sorry. The thing is, again, this great saying they said is that when you are saying sorry, don't just do lip service. When you're doing tawbah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, oh Allah, please forgive me, Rabbana zalamna anfusana, that's lip service. Really feel the regret and remorse like Sayyidina Zubair that he felt. When he heard, and when Sayyidina Ali uttered the call of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he heard it, such a remorse, such a regret, as if his whole world has been turned upside down of shame and regret that he didn't know how to face anyone because of this. This is how we should feel whenever we do a sin or whenever we wrong somebody. This shame, this regret is sincerely there, that you really feel, really truly feel the shame and the regret when you actually seek forgiveness of someone or seek forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Feel that regret, feel that remorse, so that then when you do ask, it's had such an athar, such an effect. You see it yourself. You know, sometimes you say, "Here, he didn't mean it. That guy, he just, oh, what did he say? He just said it. Sorry, that's it. Didn't really." You know, sometimes when you do Razinawa, when you go to people, and they do Razinawa, okay, let's go. We'll take out. Okay, let's. You say, "Hey, was it?" You, and then what happens? You just say sorry, okay? I'm not going to say sorry. No, just say sorry. You say, okay, then what? Then the other person will say sorry, and that's it. We've made it. Okay. What happens? Two parties will do Razinawa. One day they will go say sorry, say Kapati, Alhamdulillah, yeah, that's it. But they still haven't forgiven. And they really haven't said sorry properly. And what happens? It only takes one little thing for them to be upset again. The families to be upset again. So now compare this to that person who sincerely feels regret and remorse, and he will do his utmost to please that person, to make that person happy, and make sure that person feels that, you know what? Why? Because he's not looking at that person. He's not looking at, this is my uncle, this is my brother, this is my sister, this is my whatever. He's looking that this is between me and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I want to demonstrate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that I am theirs. And this is nothing. This dunya is, what is it? Relationship over over this relationship, over this wedding, over this meal, over this jewelry, over this land, what is this? If Sahaba were ready to leave worlds, and we can't even leave what? We can't even leave 1 meter square land. That's what we do with brothers. We're arguing over land, over property, over mal. I'm not saying don't take your haqq. What I'm saying is that this animosity and grudges that we've developed within ourselves, look at this wonderful companion, how he felt when he realized the other person was. Because it is the case, we're not sinless, we will be wrong, we will be incorrect at times. That just shows us that we're insaniyat, we're insan, and we will full of flaws as well. And sometimes we will make mistakes. The problem is, me and you have to accept that we will make mistakes. It's to accept that we make mistakes ourselves, not just everybody else, and I'm perfect. No. Perfect are angels and prophets. Even wali of Allahs, they make mistakes. But what happens is that when they make mistakes, they admit it, and they don't actually do this very often. Me and you, we will make mistakes. So admit it. Admit and make mistakes. So once you do realize, and when you sincerely will apologize, it has effect on the other person. It has profound effect that the other person says, Waki, this person says, yes, okay, I accept your forgiveness, it's fine. You also forgive me. That person didn't want to apologize. That person didn't want to say anything because he's so staunch that person, that's it. He's got his daggers ready to give you back. But because you're so sincere in your apology, his heart also melts. He also drops his daggers. And he also brings the flowers of acceptance to you and says, yes, you also forgive me as well. Do you see how wonderful how the companions actually are teaching us how to interact with one another, how to be with one another, how to follow the message of the Prophet ﷺ. Just one hadith, just one statement of the Prophet ﷺ, and he didn't mind. He was willing to sacrifice 20,000 people. Who are you? Rasulullah spoke the truth. Sayyidina Ali spoke the truth. I'm willing to give up all of that. It's not a problem. The regret, the remorse that he felt, that manifested and actually helped to realize that. And that's how we should be as well. We should feel the regret and remorse when we do this, when we actually do something wrong against somebody else. We should feel that regret and remorse. We should feel that shame, not actually thinking, oh, I'm going to get this person back. How could this be? Mere besti ho gaya, oh, ho gaya, ho gaya. No. This is shaitanic way and shaitanic character. But the Muhammadan character is what was shown, that you should be a person, regret and remorse. You should be readily giving apologies and readily accepting apologies. And be a very easy-going person, that nobody finds difficulty in dealing with you whatsoever. And this is actually also in line with, if a person is so gentle and easy, then anybody can get along with him. Anyone, kuffars, non-Muslims, if he's a Salafi, he's a Wahhabi, he's a Deobandi, he's a Brelvi, if he's Zoroastrian, if he's whatever, he's a very easygoing person in terms of the fact that he has no animosity as such on a personal level. He'll always treat you and talk to you and conduct with you in the best possible way, and not any use any vulgar way or any violence. Okay? So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us all to really, I don't know if we've actually gone through everything, but anyhow, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted us to say, all goodness is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and evil is from myself. If I said anything wrong, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive me, but may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us all to learn and act upon these blessed teachings of Sayyidina Zubair ta'ala, and in terms of his shahada, the lessons that we can derive. But really, this is actually concluded by our wonderful teacher, Shaykh Ahmad Dabagh. You should really, all of us, as reminding myself and yourself, is that how many, if I was to ask you, brothers, we're here for 10, 15 years, some of you for 5 years, some of you for 3 years, some of you may come for a few months or whatever. Really, especially for the elder brothers and sisters who may be listening, is that ask yourself, how often are you listening to the discourse of Shaykh Ahmad Dabagh? How often are you listening? Is it? I am telling you is that I haven't done justice to this whatsoever. Even though I've written the notes, I know for a fact that there's many errors probably in what I've just uttered. How is it possible that me and you think that we heard Azhar Bayan once, we've understood? In fact, let me just tell you, in fact, what the instruction was from our wonderful teacher was that whenever you come to the gathering, whenever you hear the bayan, go home, listen to at least twice, if not 3 times afterwards, to understand what they've actually said. Because when you listen to it once, like now live, you heard it. Don't listen to mine. Listen to thingy. This exactly last year, 16th of the 10th, 2018. Listen to them. Listen to their bayans. For you, you should be blind and deaf to anybody other than your own teacher. Anyhow, is that listen to their bayan. Is that when you come, when you listen live, you would have had one sort of understanding. I am telling you now, go and listen to it again, not of, I'm watching football and I'm also got the bayan on, or I'm actually doing something. No, full attentively, even if you have the pen and pad, because the more, because if you take this hadith, Qudsi ana inda zannabi wa ana ma'i zakarani, is that the more weighty and value they have of the teaching of your own teacher, it'll have more effect on you. If you give it that due value, that due respect. So if I've heard my master once, okay, now let me go back. Let's hear it again. Find the time, a moment. At least once, so you listen to it. The bits that you might have missed off, the bits that you didn't understand, you'll understand it better. If you were to listen to it again, you may understand this in a different way and different angle. If you were to listen to it again, you'll understand it in a different way, a different angle. And then you gain a better comprehension of what they tried to say. But then they said, that isn't sufficient. Try to actually then act upon it. And what we're doing is that one is that we will maybe listen to other people, other scholars, and attend other things. but your own teacher through which you have been fed and nourished, and you have been actually cleansed, you have been raised, you have been garnered together, we don't first of all come to the gathering. Secondly, is that okay, we felt to come to the gathering, we're not actually listening to them in terms of the bayans and the discourse. And what we've done is that we made a channel called Tariq Mahmood channel. There is a YouTube channel there. That's only purely for other people, an archive for other people, not for me and you, isn't it? It's not for me and you, is it? Because we've already heard it, isn't it? We've heard the bayan already. We've understood. I will tell you that I probably haven't understood 1% of it, what they wanted to say. And remember this, the status, you all say, everybody, all of you brothers have heard the status. Allah knows better what their status is, whatever. But I say is that if you believe you have a shaykh, you have a guide, you should think that he's even a high status of a ghaus. This is the story of Hazrat, I'm sorry, I do apologize. I do apologize. I don't know, but I'm just saying is that you should think the status is higher than a ghaus. Why? Hazrat Ahmad Kabir Rifai Rahmullah once had a murid, and this in the olden days, nowadays we've got WhatsApp messages we can text one another. In the olden days, to write letters, and it wasn't like the Royal Mail. You received it the next in 2 days. It used to take months maybe. So what happened is that he had a murid who came and met him and said, Sayyidi, my master or my sheikh, is that I believe that you are an abdal of the time. Is this correct? Abdal is like one of the gradations of one of the status of Valaya. I believe you were one of the Abdal of the time. Is this correct? Hazrat Ahmad Kabir Rifai Rahmullah, because he's the Shaykh, and for the student to benefit, he said, no, you should think higher of your Shaykh, of your teacher. Then he written back, oh, so you must be one of the Kutubs then. Are you the Kutub? That's the next one up. So are you one of the Kutub of the time? Because there are 7 Kutubs of the time. Then Hazrat Ahmad Kabir Rifai Rahmullah, he written back, you should think, oh my student, may Allah bless you, but you should think higher of your Shaykh. Oh, okay, so what's higher than a Kutub? Ghaus. He must be the Ghaus. Wow. He is the Ghaus of the time. He must be the Ghaus. Oh my Sayyidi, oh my master. So are you the Ghaus of the time? Then he written, oh my student, if you really wish to benefit from my company, you should think myself to be higher than this, even though I don't think myself is this. You should think yourself, your guide is higher than even the ghaus of the time. Is higher than this. The highest in terms of perfection, the highest in terms of qurb and nearness to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the highest in all of the face of earth, there's nobody higher than him. So if that is the case, that we believe that our teacher is the highest and he is our guide, that whatever they utter, for example, you brothers are doing ascension, and some of you now will experience ilham. Yes? You're experiencing ilham, you're relating that I was inspired, Allah, the voice of Allah saying this. Or some of you are now getting direct guidance from the Prophet and he saying, say this. Or some of you are now getting direct guidance from different Mashayikh saying, say this to my brothers. This is, you're thinking, oh, this is very, very mighty, this is very, very high, isn't it? Now we're saying they are in the direct marif and vision of the Prophet ﷺ. Do you think they will utter anything without the izn and permission of the Prophet ﷺ? Do you think they will? So whatever they are uttering, whatever they are saying, is from the pearls and wisdom of the Prophet ﷺ they are uttering. And if you would then let that digest in your heart and you ponder, you'll see oceans and oceans of guidance actually flowing through this utterance, what they're saying. But we're just too blind to see it. And we just think, yeah, I heard it, alhamdulillah, that's fine. That YouTube channel is for other brothers. We're going to give dawah for other people to listen to it, not myself. Qu anfusikum ahlu nar. Save yourself first, my dear brothers and sisters. Call yourself to account first. I'm talking to myself here. Hit yourself and wake yourself up and get yourself listening. Get yourself active. Yourself, give dawah to yourself, get yourself acting. Every single one of us here now should be thinking, okay, I'm going to go and listen to one bayan. Get a pattern going. Listen to the bayan. Watch the bayan. Do what you got to do. Immerse yourself in the environment of hearing your own teacher rather than hearing other people, hearing music, hearing nasheed, hearing this. Listen to your teacher, what they're saying. Let that enter and flow into your heart and mind, and let that settle and digest and some understanding, so that those blessed words can have some rippling effect to change this personality into the Muhammadan personality. May Allah bless us all. I'm sorry about that. May Allah anyway.
Alhamdulillah, as we have heard that we need to save ourselves before we can save others. So if we want to be able to save ourselves and become like the Sahabas practically, not just hear about it, dream about it, but make that a reality in today, then there is an opportunity for us to do that. And this is known as the course of self-purification, where a person step by step can learn how to follow the Sunnah with every step, with every movement, with every thought, with every feeling in their heart, can become like that of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and the Sahaba. Now if you want these qualities and you want to attain these qualities, you can learn today how to do that. The opportunity is here and it's free of charge. So you can come and you can sit and learn. So do take this opportunity, because we do not know once we step out of this door what's out there for us. We may not be able to return here again. So while we have the opportunity, we should try to take this opportunity. So if any brother wants to learn how they can start the course of self-purification, then come see myself and inshallah I'll direct you into the right place, to the right person. Also currently the teacher, as you can see, is not here. This is because they themselves are out there giving dawah, trying to bring people to the right path and to bring them to the closeness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're currently in Denmark and other places in Europe. Then they'll be going to Umrah on the 22nd of October till the 3rd of November. Now if any brother wants to accompany them and be on this beautiful tour and go on to this, you could say, spiritual holiday, if anyone would like to go to this tour, then see Brother Waqas for this. And if you don't know who that is, then come see myself and I can tell you who Brother Waqas is. And also, please keep yourselves posted for the latest updates on Facebook. So if you want to keep on listening to the teacher live while you're at work or while you're just walking, you want to hear them live speaking, then you can see that on Facebook. So their activity, what they're doing, how they're helping people, not just through their words, but practically how they're helping people. You can see that on Facebook. And also, don't just benefit yourself, benefit others by liking and sharing, so other people can also have this blessing like you brothers can also have. And just before we start the dhikr majlis, I shall just like to give the mic to Brother Naj.
Assalamu alaikum. Every week we come here, and every week we're getting closer to our own death. What's also important of coming here is how close are we getting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We've been given a blessed course, a very easy course to do, a tick sheet. Now many of us are ticking those sheets, but many have stopped. And that's normal to stop and then to start and then stop to start again. So the people who are ticking the sheet and are successful, and the people who are struggling on the sheets, I will be over on the left hand side at the end of the majlis for you to come and share with us your progress and your failures. And if you haven't started the course yet, come and meet Brother Siraj here, because this is a once in a chance opportunity to really improve yourself and get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Thank you.
Shall now, before we start the dhikr majlis, like everyone stand up just to get a breather and to stretch the legs, so when they do sit back down they're comfortable. Just for a few seconds, please do try to remain where you are, and do come a bit closer if you can from the back. Just like to ask everyone now to sit down. I'm sure your legs are okay now. So everyone back to just rearrange the softs and sit back down in a nice and neat semicircle once again, please. So it's like everyone to refresh their intention that we're here for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And while we're sat down before the dhikr starts, to come into the presence of Allah, that Allah is watching me, Allah is with me, and Allah is listening to me. And it's a loud zikr, so recite the zikr loudly with those ustad, and keep on reciting even when they go quiet. So really try to connect and open your heart to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and seek your for whatever you need and try to attain and feel that closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So inshallah, take this time to get yourself focused.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد صدق الله العظيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم محمد سيد الكونين والثقلين والفريقين من عرب ومن عجم محمد سيد الكونين والثقلين والفريقين من عرب ومن عجم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم هو الحبيب الذي ترجى شفاعته لكل حول من الأهوال مقتحم هو الحبيب الذي ترجى شفاعته لكل حول من الأحوال مقتحمين مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. فاعلم أنه لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله لا إله إلا 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 الله إلا الله إلا الله إلا الله 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 لا إله إلا 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 الله 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 إلا illallah, 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 la ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. حسبي ربي جل الله ما في قلبي غير الله حسبي ربي جل الله ما في قلبي غير الله نور محمد صلى الله نور محمد صلى الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله حسبي ربي جل الله ما في قلبي غير الله نور محمد صلى الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله أول آخر ہے اللہ ظاہر باطن ہے اللہ اول آخر ہے اللہ ظاہر باطن ہے اللہ لا إله إلا الله 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 محمد رسول الله صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم 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 صلى الله على محمد 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 صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم 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 السلام عليك السلام عليك السلام عليك يا شفيع المذنبين السلام عليك السلام عليك السلام عليك السلام عليك يا شفيع المذنبين يا شفيع المذنبين يا رحمة للعالمين يا رحمة للعالمين السلام عليك السلام عليك السلام عليك السلام عليك يا جد حسن وحسين يا جد حسن وحسين السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحابه وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحابه وسلم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman Rahim, we raise our hand in supplication, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Please accept our ruku, our sujood, our tilawatul Quran, our dhikr, our azkar, our nasir, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Please reward us with this majlis of ours and send this as a gift upon the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And with the wasilah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, send this as a gift upon all the prophets and messengers, upon all the malaika, upon all the Ahlul Bayt, and upon all the Sahaba. خصوصاً upon Sayyidina Zubair bin Awwam radhiyallahu anhu, Ya Rabbal Alameen, raise his status and darajah in the Jannah, Ya Rabbal Alameen, and elevate his status even more and more, Ya Rabbal Alameen, and send this reward upon all the awliya and salihin, خصوصاً upon our beloved Master Sayyidina Abdul Qadir Jilani, Sayyidina Abdul Aziz Dabbar Rahmallah, and all the mashaykhs of every turuq as well, Ya Rabbal Alameen, and bless our beloved Master Sayyidina Ahmad Dabbar. Raise their status and rank, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Envelope them in your comfort and mercy, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman Rahim, help us to be gentle one another, help us to tolerate one another and think good one another, Ya Rabbal Alameen. The daggers that we carry with us, the daggers of animosity and hatred, Ya Rabbal Alameen, turn those into forgiveness and apologies, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Help us to shower one another with our mercy and compassion rather than our hatred and animosity, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman Rahim, help us to rid ourselves of the evil which is within us, Ya Rabbil Alameen, and protect others from our evil, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman Rahim, throughout the world there are so many Muslim brothers and sisters who are going through such misfortunes and calamities and oppression, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Help them through in these difficult times, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Remove the unjust rulers with just rulers, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Remove the tyrannistic rulers, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Grant them such rulers who will be just and kind and merciful, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman Rahim, help our brothers and sisters, especially in Palestine, in Afghanistan, in Burma, in Kashmir, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Help our brothers and sisters in Kashmir and enable them to be successful in this life as well as akhirah, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman Rahim, reward our brothers and sisters who donated so generously towards the causes for the humanitarian cause, especially for raising funds in Tanzania, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Reward all our brothers and sisters, especially our brothers who ran the marathon, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Bless them abundantly this life as well as akhirah, like they've ran for others so that others can be quenched of their thirst. Quench them, Ya Rabbil Alameen, with your nearness and your love and your marifah, and the nearness and the marifah of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and the nearness and pleasure marifah of our beloved teacher, Rabbil Alameen. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman Rahim, we are sinful people, we are full of sins from head to toe. Grant us your forgiveness, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Grant us your nearness and your love, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Grant us the nearness and love of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Grant us the love and nearness of our beloved teacher and the pleasure of Rabbil Alameen, this life as well as the akhirah. وصلى الله خير خلقه محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين آمين برحمتك يا رب. جزاك الله خير.